My brothers threw me in a well, sold me as a slave, and tried to kill me. I was wrongfully accused of rape and sent to jail. Can you imagine hearing that from a fellow podcaster? Well, if Joseph from the Bible shared his personal story today, then it would sound something like this. After many years of suffering and struggle, God made Joseph the most influential person, second to Pharaoh, in all the world at his time. His wisdom saved many lives across the nation. This is definitely Romans 8:28 in full effect. Romans 8:28 says, God works all things out for good. All things work together for good. God gave Joseph success in all he did. Even if something bad or undesirable happens, God has a way of making something good come out of it that brings him glory. We become wiser and stronger. We experience God's grace for ourselves and learn that God is with us even in difficult situations. Joseph, even though he was in prison, found favor with the prison guards. Isn't that something? We see that God is a deliverer no matter how long we find ourselves in difficult situations. It always humbles me, even if I think about complaining about my life, when I hear Joseph's story. This dude went through pure hell for about 13 years, but still stayed faithful to God. 13 years. This doesn't dismiss my suffering or yours, because suffering is suffering and pain is pain. But you know what I mean? God doesn't compare our pain and suffering to someone else like humans tend to do. I'm sure we all have known someone haughty and proud who dismisses what you're dealing with because they think they work harder and suffer more, or they make light of your situation. I couldn't see Joseph being that kind of person at all. Man, he had some beautiful characteristics. First of all, he was faithful to God, he was patient, he was honest, he had great work ethics, he trusted God, and he had an attitude of gratitude. He didn't complain. Even after all Joseph had gone through, his words were, I always want to remember the good things God has done for me. Joseph didn't focus on what God wasn't doing. He focused on the good things God was doing. He had the quality of endurance. He was obedient to God. He had integrity. Even though Potiphar's wife tried to sleep with Joseph, he didn't give in to temptation. He didn't lie or cut corners because he knew God had his back. And God has your back, just like God had Joseph's back. God is not a respecter of persons. He has your back and he will deliver you too. God can work all things out for good. Have you experienced a crisis and been mistreated or abused, lied on? Does life seem to keep knocking you down like it did Joseph? The story of Joseph's life is one of the most relatable because it is filled with family drama, saturated with many emotions. When I first heard about Joseph's story a long time ago, it really made my blood boil. His family betrayed him in the worst way, and some woman screams rape just because Joseph wouldn't sleep with her? I was so mad when I read that story. Joseph is a good man, and this woman tried to take advantage of him and lie on him. I can't imagine being Joseph. Joseph went through the worst. Life can kind of just suck sometimes, can it? It's hard not to feel a bit weary and discouraged sometimes. We're human, but we're overcomers. Joseph can relate to extremely difficult times. Can you imagine sitting down and talking with Joseph? I was talking with someone one day and I asked them this question: if you could sit down and talk to anyone alive or dead, who would that be? I only had a few moments to give an answer myself, to say who I would want to sit down and talk with. And the first person who popped into my head was Michael Jackson. Don't ask me why. I just thought he would be interesting and he would be a sweet person to talk to, and I just had a lot of questions for him. And and no, I didn't say Jesus, because Jesus is coming back and we're going to be able to talk to Jesus every day. So I was thinking about people um, that I never met, like that I may not be able to see one day. I don't know. Um, so don't judge me because I chose Michael Jackson. But now that I think about it, I think I would sit down and talk to Joseph, even though I will see Joseph one day again in heaven as well. Um, but anyway, I got a lot of different answers from people, from Jesus to Mother Teresa, to other people. I've asked several people that question. Some people said they would sit down and talk to their wives or their grandparents that they never met, or a president or something. Um, but yeah, definitely I would choose Joseph now that I think about it. You can find Joseph's story in Genesis chapter 37 through 50 in the Bible. This story always helps me to refocus, to change my attitude, and encourages me not to give up on life or on God. I hope it encourages you too and gives you newfound hope that no matter your circumstance right now, you will come out of it better, free, wise, victorious, prosperous, and blessed. May we all have the courage to trust God no matter the circumstance. God's plans and purposes are far greater than our own. He can use the most painful time in our lives for His good. Please share if you've ever been in an undesirable situation and you learned some valuable lessons and gained wisdom, or if something good and unexpected came from a difficult situation. Feel free to share in the comments, or you can share anything. I think it would be a blessing for others when you hear other people's stories. It kind of encourages you, and it just makes you feel good to hear that someone was delivered and they got through, a tough situation, and it just gives you hope. Really gives you hope. So I hope this was a pick me up. Grace and peace to all of you. I hope that you will come back and for more motivation and inspiration. If you enjoy this podcast, please remember to give it a like, subscribe if you would like to, and I hope I get to see you guys in the comments. Be blessed.